I spent over $30,000 on my sister's wedding. 30 grand I could have used for a down payment on a condo, a new car, or the solo trip to Iceland I'd been dreaming about for years. But instead, I spent it on a day that wasn't even mine. And what do I get in return? A phone call 6 months later with my baby sister sobbing so hard I thought someone had died. Turned out someone had. Not a person, a marriage. Hers. My name is Alina, I'm 34 years old, and until recently, I thought being the responsible sister meant doing the right thing, no matter the cost. I was always the one who paid her own way, helped with family emergencies, and kept the peace when things got tense. My sister Alina. She was the golden child. Pretty, charming, and chronically broke. Everyone loved her, even when she screwed up. Especially when she screwed up. When she got engaged to Oleg, I was happy for her. Really. He seemed stable, funny, and a little too polished, maybe, but whatever, not my circus. She asked me to be her maid of honor, and I didn't hesitate. Of course, I'd help. I just didn't realize that help meant covering most of the wedding costs. It started small. Could you help me with the invitations? Sure, I designed them myself. The photographer's more expensive than we thought, no problem, I'd pay half. The venue deposit is due and Oleg's salary is tied up with moving expenses. Okay, fine, I'll cover it, just this once. You know that story about a frog in boiling water? That was me. Every week, a new request. And every week, I said yes. By the time the wedding rolled around, I'd paid for the venue, the catering, her dress fittings, and even the damn flower wall she'd seen on Pinterest. I told myself it was worth it. Alina looked so happy. She kept hugging me, whispering, I couldn't have done this without you, and I believed her. The wedding was beautiful. I won't lie. A sunset ceremony, a live jazz trio, laughter echoing under twinkling fairy lights. Oleg cried when he saw her walking down the aisle. I thought, maybe, just maybe, this was the fairy tale ending she deserved. I didn't notice how often Oleg chatted with Irina that night. Irina, my old college friend. The one I hadn't seen in a couple of years but had invited to the wedding because she and Alina got along well during brunch once. Irina had always been the flirtatious type, a little too handsy, a little too loud. But again, not my circus. I was too tired to play watchdog. Too busy making sure the caterers didn't forget the vegan option and chasing down the best man for his speech. If only I'd paid closer attention. 3 months after the wedding, Alina started pulling away. She stopped texting back right away. Cancelled lunch plans. She always sounded tired. Oleg was working late a lot. I offered to come over, but she said they were just adjusting to married life. And then, last Thursday, she called me in the middle of the day, voice cracked and shaking. I dropped everything and drove over to her apartment. She was sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket, eyes red and swollen. She looked up at me and just said, "He's cheating on me." I didn't even have to ask with who. The name came out like poison. Irina. The story unraveled quickly. Alina had found texts. Photos. Late-night messages. One particularly disgusting screenshot where Oleg called Irina the real spark in his life. Irina had been there for him during stressful times. My sister. Apparently, she was just the starter wife. I swear I saw red. I wanted to punch something, preferably Oleg's smug face. Or Irina's perfect teeth. But all I could do was hold Alina as she sobbed, saying over and over that she'd seen the signs but ignored them. That she didn't want to believe it. And in the middle of it all, this bitter, absurd thought hit me: I paid for this. I paid for this betrayal to happen. I paid for the dress, the party, the champagne that toasted a lie. Alina cried herself to sleep that night. I stayed on her couch, staring at the ceiling, and somewhere between 2 a.m. and sunrise, I made a decision. Oleg and Irina thought they were clever. They thought they could play house while Alina quietly fell apart and I, the bankroller, would just fade into the background. They didn't know that while I may be generous, I'm also strategic. That night, a plan started forming. It wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't be fast. But it would be clean. And when it was done, both of them would regret ever thinking they could play me. Over the next few weeks, I eased my way back into Irina's life. I was strategic, casual check-ins, a coffee here, a compliment there. She had no idea I was laying the first stones of the trap. It started with a lie, wrapped in opportunity. I have a new client, I told her one evening over dinner at a trendy vegan spot she loved. Big branding project. They need visuals, social media identity, packaging, the whole thing. But I'm swamped. I thought of you. Her eyes lit up like a slot machine. Seriously? Yeah. I thought, maybe this could be a chance for us to reset. Work together like old times. I threw in just enough vulnerability to make it believable. She took the bait so fast I almost felt insulted. By the end of the week, I'd sent her a mock proposal. Completely fake, but realistic enough to pass as a real brief, brand name, mock product descriptions, timelines, and all. I even created a fake email account for the client to communicate through. I had it all planned. She didn't question any of it. Not once. Over the next month, Irina was obsessed. She quit her day job, just temporary, she said, confident this contract would be her launchpad. She booked a photographer for mock-ups, hired a copywriter, even secured a small loan to tide her over until the deposit hits. Of course, the deposit never came. She kept emailing the client for updates, feedback, confirmations. I controlled the entire exchange. Delays, tweaks, questions, just enough engagement to keep her dancing. She was convinced this was going to be her big break. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, I was rebuilding what actually mattered. Alina. She'd hit bottom, and I wasn't about to let her stay there. I found her a therapist, someone warm, practical, and experienced with emotional abuse cases. Alina resisted at first. Said she didn't need a stranger judging her life. But after her first session, she came home quiet. Then she asked if I'd drive her to the next one. She moved out of the apartment a week later. I let her crash in my guest room. She cried the first night, curled up like a child. I held her and said nothing. We talked. Not just about Oleg, but about everything. Our childhood. Her dreams. Her fear of failing. Her deep, aching guilt that she hadn't listened when she saw the signs. You trusted someone, I told her. That's not a weakness. That's being human. By week 5, she was eating again. Laughing, even. I watched her come back to life in pieces, a slow, delicate reassembly. Every day she stood taller, clearer. Stronger. While Alina healed, Irina unraveled. She messaged me constantly. Questions, panic, updates. The client was getting colder, vaguer. Deadlines were delayed, files lost, contacts restructured. I blamed everything on new management. You know how corporate gets. Irina started to sweat. She'd already told her parents she was on the brink of signing a 6-figure contract. Her LinkedIn screamed about independent consulting. Her Instagram bio read, creative director at the next big brand, stay tuned. She was too far in to back out. And I played supportive friend like an Oscar contender. I nodded when she stressed, comforted when she doubted. Just hang in, I told her. This will work out. You just need to prove you're serious. Go all in. And she did. She doubled down. Took out a second loan. Bought new software. Signed a 3-month lease on a shared workspace. She thought she was building an empire. She was building a tomb. Then came the collapse. I sent one final message from the fake client account. Unfortunately, after internal restructuring, our project has been shelved indefinitely. Thank you for your proposal. We will not be proceeding. I waited. It took 47 minutes before Irina messaged me. Did you see the email? What the hell is happening? I replied, I'm so sorry. I'm shocked too. The next day, she called me in tears. I left my job for this. I'm in debt. My parents are furious. And Oleg doesn't even want to talk about it. He said I should have been smarter. Of course he did. Oleg had started pulling away weeks ago. I'd known because Alina had seen him on a dating app. He'd already moved on, and once Irina stopped being shiny and useful, he lost interest. By then, Irina was flailing. Calling, begging for help, asking if I knew anyone who needed a designer. I said I'd ask around. I didn't. I blocked the fake client account. Deleted every message. Cleared every trace. And I slept like a baby. I didn't do it for revenge. Not really. I did it to balance the scale. To show her, and Oleg, that they weren't untouchable. That burning people has consequences. They broke Alina. So I broke the illusion they built their lives around. And this was only the beginning. Irina unraveled faster than I expected. A week after the fake client pulled out, she was practically harassing me with messages. At first, it was concern. Then panic. Then thinly veiled accusations. They haven't responded to any of my follow-ups. Do you think they just ghosted me? I'm freaking out. That project was everything. Have you heard anything? Why aren't you answering my texts? I gave her silence. She showed up unannounced at my office one afternoon, wearing sunglasses indoors like it could somehow disguise the bags under her eyes. Her lips were chapped. Hair pulled into a frazzled bun that screamed breakdown in progress. We need to talk, she said, not even waiting to be invited in. Something's wrong. I don't think this was real. The client, I did a reverse search on the contact name. Nothing comes up. The business doesn't exist. And you brought them to me, Alina. She looked frantic. Pale. Desperate. I trusted you, she said, almost accusing. I looked at her for a long moment and gave her what I hoped looked like pity. I'm sorry, Irina. I thought it was real too. They fooled all of us. Her expression cracked, a twitch in the corner of her eye, a quick flare of suspicion. But you never lost anything. That's because I didn't invest my entire identity in something I didn't verify, I said quietly. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then stormed out without another word. That night, she posted a long, cryptic Instagram story about betrayal in the creative world and people who smile while stabbing you. She didn't name me. She didn't have to. Everyone in our circle knew who she was talking about. Let them guess. While Irina's fake empire crumbled, Oleg was about to face his own reckoning. It came in the form of an anonymous email to his HR department. Attached, screenshots of flirty messages between him and Irina while she was still technically a junior contractor under his supervision. Nothing illegal, but enough to raise serious ethical red flags. It included hotel receipts, calendar invites for off-site meetings, and a damning voice memo where he joked about hiring someone hot for a change. The HR director didn't find it funny. 2 weeks later, Oleg was called into a disciplinary hearing. 3 days after that, he was terminated for violations of internal conduct policy and abuse of power in supervisory relationships. Word got around fast. The kind of fast that made recruiters stop returning calls. He tried to downplay it. Claimed it was an internal misunderstanding, that he'd walked away voluntarily. But the truth leaked like poison. Even his apartment complex started rumors, neighbors whispering about loud fights and shattered dishes late at night. Irina, of course, didn't take the news well. With no job, no money, and now no boyfriend, Oleg apparently told her she'd ruined his life. She moved back in with her mother in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment near the train station. I saw her once from a distance, waiting at a bus stop in heels far too expensive for that sidewalk, clutching a plastic takeout bag and looking completely hollowed out. A small part of me felt something. Not satisfaction. Not guilt, either. Just closure. But the final twist came unexpectedly. Alina found out. I hadn't meant for her to. I thought keeping her out of it was the kindest thing. She was doing better, smiling again, even applying to new jobs. I wanted to protect that fragile piece. But people talk. Screenshots circulate. And someone, probably an ex-friend of Irina's, forwarded Alina the story. She read everything. I came home that evening to find her sitting in the kitchen, my laptop open in front of her, the infamous mock brief glowing on the screen. "Was this you?" she asked quietly. I didn't lie. I sat down across from her and nodded. There was a long pause. "You created a fake brand?" "Yes." "You lured her in?" "Yes." "You, what, watched her implode on purpose?" My mouth opened. Then closed. Then opened again. I gave her the rope. She tied the noose. Another silence. Then, to my shock, Alina laughed. It wasn't cruel. It was soft. Shaky. "I should tell you this was too far. That it wasn't your fight. That revenge doesn't heal." She stood up, wiping tears from her face. "But screw it. You're the only person who never left me." I exhaled, some knot in my chest loosening for the first time in months. She stepped closer, hugged me, and whispered, "Thank you for choosing me." The next morning, she moved her stuff into her new apartment, a tiny but sunny place with peeling paint and wildflowers in a chipped vase. Her own space. Her own beginning. I helped her carry boxes. And that afternoon, she texted me a picture of the first dinner she cooked alone. "Not poisoned," the caption read. Progress. Meanwhile, Irina deleted all her social media accounts. Oleg started selling his watches on Facebook Marketplace. Their once perfect public image had evaporated, leaving behind only scorched earth and rumors. They weren't out of my life. But they were out of my way. And honestly, that was enough. By the time autumn rolled in, Irina was broke. She tried freelancing, briefly, but word got around. A couple of design forums even had threads warning about her unreliable behavior. Apparently, one burned client had shared their experience publicly, and others had added their own. A former colleague even chimed in, "She's the kind of person who takes credit for work she didn't do. Proceed with caution." Her credit cards were maxed out. The bank called her twice a day. She sold her laptop and was using her mom's clunky old PC to send out desperate proposals. No one responded. No one wanted to take a chance on someone with that kind of chaos trailing behind her. Eventually, she stopped trying. The last I heard, she'd taken a part-time job at a print shop on the outskirts of the city. Her mother had hinted on Facebook about tough times and the betrayal of those you called friends. But no one really cared. Irina had spent her entire adult life playing people like chess pieces. She just finally sat across from someone who saw all her moves before she made them. Oleg didn't stick around long. At first, he acted supportive. Tried to coach her through her branding collapse. Told her they'd bounce back together. But the minute his own finances dried up, and when job interviews started getting awkward thanks to his HR scandal, he bolted. He ghosted her. She posted one last photo of them together on her profile, blurry, old, with a bitter caption, "Some people were only ever good at pretending." A week later, the post disappeared. So did the entire account. Alina, on the other hand, was thriving. After everything blew up, she threw herself into rebuilding her life. The therapy helped. So did cutting ties with anyone who reminded her of that toxic chapter, old friends who'd been neutral when Oleg cheated, relatives who blamed her for rushing the marriage. She found a job at a boutique marketing agency. Junior role, but solid. Stable. She was learning fast, managing projects, even mentoring interns by her third month. Her confidence started to return, this time grounded in something real. The apartment helped too. Small but filled with light, it became her sanctuary. She started baking on Sundays, painting again, even adopting a stray cat that insisted on sleeping in her sock drawer. She sent me pictures every week, of meals she'd cooked, books she was reading, plants she hadn't killed yet. She wasn't just surviving. She was building something of her own. And we finally became sisters. Real sisters. Not just relatives who tolerated each other between birthdays and family emergencies. We went on walks. Shared stupid memes. Laughed about things that weren't connected to heartbreak. It took us 30 years and one catastrophic betrayal to get there, but we did. One night, a few months later, we sat on our balcony with mugs of tea, watching the city breathe beneath us. She turned to me and said, "Do you think I would have made it through without you?" "You would have," I said. "But maybe slower. Maybe with a few more scars." She smiled. "You broke the rules for me." "No," I replied, swirling my tea. "I rewrote them." That was the thing. People like Irina and Oleg think power is loud, that it shows up in screaming matches, slamming doors, public scenes. But real power, real revenge, it's quiet, calculated, surgical. It's watching someone dig their own grave with the shovel you lent them. And then stepping back while they fall in. I never raised my voice. Never posted a rant. Never needed to scream, "Justice," into the void. I simply planned. I adjusted. I made sure that what they took from my sister, her trust, her safety, her dreams, would cost them more than they ever expected. And when they fell apart, no one could trace it back to me. Not really. That's what made it beautiful. But this isn't a victory lap. It's not a gloating post about how I won. It's the end of a chapter that needed to close. I didn't destroy them because I hated them. I destroyed them because some people don't stop until they're stopped. Because the only language manipulators understand is consequence. And because I love my sister more than they ever could have imagined. She told me once, after reading back through everything, it wasn't revenge. It was justice. Maybe she was right. Irina tried to ruin someone's life to feed her own ego. Oleg lied to everyone while pretending to be a respectable man. They both thought they were above accountability. That if they moved fast enough, charmed hard enough, no one would ever check the receipts. They were wrong. They forgot I was the one who paid the bills. Literally and metaphorically. They underestimated the woman behind the spreadsheets and centerpieces. The one who signed every vendor contract, coordinated every detail of the wedding they so carelessly stained. They thought I was just the older sister. The helper. The one who always cleaned up after the mess. They forgot I was also the architect. And the thing about architects. We don't just build things. We also know exactly how to tear them down, piece by piece, brick by brick, without ever lifting a hammer. Now, with everything settled, I've stopped looking over my shoulder. I don't check their socials. Don't ask mutual friends for updates. I don't need to. That part of my life is closed. Sealed. A lesson written in silence. And yes, sometimes I do think about it. The slow unraveling. The quiet descent. The moment Irina realized the dream she staked everything on was nothing but a shadow. But not with guilt. With clarity. Because sometimes, revenge isn't rage. It's precision. It's patience. It's a cold, clean calculation that unfolds exactly as you intended. And nothing, absolutely nothing, tastes better than justice served cold and perfectly plated.